Israel-Palestinian tension. Israel has taken action to stretch relations, the U.S. reiterated its position. On February 2, despite the US's call not to take any more actions that could weaken Palestine, Israel recently took a move that could increase tensions with the Islamic State. On February 2, Israeli Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich signed an order, according to which Israel will withhold the amount of NIS 100 million, about $29.5 million, from Palestinian tax revenues in the territories managed by the Jewish state. Mr. Smotrich also signed a decision to grant an additional 200,000 NIS, about $59,000, from this deduction to Israeli families who have died in terrorist attacks perpetrated by Palestinians. The move comes just days after U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken on a visit to Israel urged the host country's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu not to take any further action that would weaken the government. Palestine. Earlier, on January 6, Israel announced a series of sanctions against Palestine, including the confiscation of about 139 million shekels, more than $39 million, in taxes collected and transferred to the families of the Israeli victims. Meanwhile, in the U.S., on the same day, during a meeting with Jordan's King Abdullah II who is visiting Washington, U.S. President Joe Biden affirmed that the government of this country supports maintaining the historical status quo of the temple site. Islam al-Aqsa, which Israel calls the Temple Mount, in Jerusalem. According to the White House announcement, President Biden highly appreciated Jordan's custodial role over sacred sites in Jerusalem, and reiterated the U.S. position of strongly supporting the two-state solution for the two-state solution with the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The Al-Aqsa Temple/Temple Mount is located in East Jerusalem, the territory Israel occupied in the 1967 Middle East War and annexed later. The area has been the epicenter of several waves of violence between Israeli Jews and Palestinian Muslims. According to long-standing convention, Jews are allowed to visit the temple, but not to pray there. In January, Israeli National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir visited the area, drawing objections from Arab countries. Also on February 2, Egypt hosted a Palestinian delegation from the Gaza Strip, led by senior members of the Islamic Jihad movement. Officials from the Hamas movement also participated. The sources said that the content of the meeting discussed the process of reducing tensions between the Palestinian factions with Israel, in the context of the bloody escalation of violence taking place in the occupied Palestinian territories.